Hi friends, and welcome back to Fill Your Cup with Wild Geese Bookshop. I'm Kara.
And I'm Emily.
And today we have our inventory manager, Emma, back on the podcast. For anyone that does not know Emma from the shop or otherwise, can you just tell us a couple of things about your role in the shop and about you as a reader?
Oh my gosh, you guys, yes. I'm so happy to be back on with you guys, and I'm just so proud of everything you guys have done for the pod, and it's just so great. So I'm happy to be here. Yes, I'm the inventory manager, as Kara just stated. So I'm kind of like our buyer. So I meet with a lot of our reps through publishers and kind of look at overall what kind of books are coming out for each season. And I do all of our ordering through there. I do a lot of our event custom merch, which is a lot of fun too. So I work with a lot of different brands, and I just keep track of the everyday inventory and all the things.
So today on the pod, we are kind of going to be talking about what to look for in the spring and the summer, whether that is new releases or just recommendations that we have from books that have been on our TBR in the past, in other spring and summers in recent years. So to kind of kick things off, Emma, this year, what do you think the vibes for this season are going to be for you? Whether that's your reading, what you're kind of looking for, or what you think is going to be popular in upcoming releases.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited for the spring and summer season for books coming out. It's literally my favorite season. I feel like other than fall's really great too, but it's so fun seeing all the summery books and just all the new books hit the shelf. It's just so refreshing, and I don't know. I love it. But I'm seeing a lot of really great horror, romance, literary fiction coming. Kara, ever since you kind of crowned In Stormy Weather kind of the book of the summer, I've been thinking about that constantly. I'm like, I need to read this. I saw your update when you had posted about it. I was like, oh my God, that's a good little thing.
Yes, I loved that book. I thought it was so fun, and I had never read a meteorologist kind of weather-based romance before. However, I do think that is also a trend this year. There are quite a few of those coming out.
Really?
B.K. Borson's new book is also kind of a meteorologist vibe. I thought Chelsea Curto did a wonderful job. I was a fan of Chelsea Curto before her first traditionally published book, which is In Stormy Weather.
Yeah.
And she just has fantastic banter. Her books are just fun. And I think that is something that I really look for in a romance. I go to romance to have fun, just good times, good energy. It's just a really fun book, and I'm very excited for people to read it when it comes out in July.
I'm obsessed with that. I can't wait to read it now too. I've downloaded it and I'm so excited. I put it in my plan TBR. I was like, Kara, your name is just in caps next to the book.
I thought it was really fun.
Yes.
I hope you like it.
Yes, I'm excited. And, going off of storm vibes, Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune is coming out in May, which I am so pumped about. I just, I loved One Golden Summer, of course. So I think it's going to be, a really good time. And just her worlds in her books, she always just makes them so sweet and charming, and her characters are always amazing. And this book specifically is fun because it's a friends to lovers trope. The main characters take a vacation to a kind of a beach setting location after she was just dumped by her fiance. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that all kind of unravels.
I'm really excited for that book as well. I have been a big fan of Carly Fortune as well, just like you, throughout all of her recent releases. So I'm really excited for this one as well. Emily, do you have anything on your radar? What are you looking for this spring?
I think the vibes for me personally this spring is more romance. I have been more self-proclaimed. I feel like I read a lot of fantasy and a lot of romantasy and a lot of literary fiction and the weird girl fiction side of things, which is very different from romance. And I've kind of steered clear from romance for a while. And then I feel like just recently I've started getting into romance, reading it more and more.
Yeah.
And exploring different subgenres of romance and different authors that I've never heard of. So I think for me personally, the vibes of spring and summer will be romance, because I feel like that's a really good time
absolutely
to kind of explore the genre a little bit more. I think trending wise, I do agree with Kara. The storms and the weather and meteorology, that seems to be very big.
That's the vibe right now, for real.
I agree.
When you look on NetGalley or you look on any of the upcoming lists that are posted online, there are a ton of storm chaser romances. There's tons of meteorology romances.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I think it's super fun because Chelsea Curto kind of gets into this in Stormy Weather. It also brings up a conversation about women in STEM fields in like a way that hasn't really been done before. Like we have the Allie Hazelwoods,
of course,
that are women in STEM, but it's like STEM,
right? Very STEM.
Like when you say STEM, like
yes.
you kind of think like the lab work, like the chemistry, like that kind of vibe. So I think it brings a new perspective into that conversation, and I think that Chelsea Curto did a very good job at that. I cannot speak for some of the other ones, but I'm sure they also did amazing.
Yeah, and Now Back to You was two meteorologists, and it takes place in winter because it's a huge snowstorm. So it's not quite the same as Chelsea Curto's because that's like thunderstorm, tornado type deal, right? Yeah. So the snowstorm side of it was really interesting, and I think it's a very good telling of these two meteorologists that you meet in the first book in the series, which is First Time Caller. And you just kind of get to know the characters a little bit more, but it is kind of that women in STEM because she talks about the different type of models that she uses to track the storm and how it's better than the ones that Jackson uses. And it is a different look on idea of what STEM means and what that is for to be a woman in STEM in a field that you wouldn't necessarily think of. I think it's really cool.
Now that you guys have kind of brought up the storms, and I kind of was noticing that trend as well. The past probably like 3 or 4 romances I've read, there's been a storm, some kind of snowstorm or just like storm in general, where like they've had to like stay in the hotel room or like they can't leave because it's a bad storm, or they've had to like go in the basement or something. And I just... Now that you guys have brought that up, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I've read so many books where the characters are like having to like hide from a storm.
It's such an interesting micro trend. I feel like it is a micro trend too.
No, seriously, I'm locked in now.
Yeah, and it's something that you might not even realize, but it's a great way to bring up the trope forced proximity.
Yes.
And like, hey, listen, I like it. I'm enjoying it. So, but now that y'all pointed it out.
If you're down with forced proximity, then I think you'll like In Stormy Weather because they're like kind of like rivals to lovers, and they like are chasing a storm together, and they get like trapped in like this building together, and like there's a storm, they can't leave. So.
And you know what? I heard that book is kind of giving that, I think it's that movie Twisters with Glenn Powell. Is that right? Everyone on Bookstagram is saying that right now about that book.
Yes, I definitely can see the inspiration. I believe, don't quote me on that, I think there is a direct reference to Twisters in the book.
Oh my God.
So Chelsea Curto, she knew what she was doing.
That's amazing. I love that. And like, who doesn't love Glenn Powell and like Twisters, like iconic, you know?
Right. Very, very timely. Very timely.
You know, I kind of want to bring up something, and I don't know if you guys are seeing this trend right now. I'm seeing in the thriller and horror world, kind of the litfic world right now specifically, a lot of revenge litfic.
Yes.
We're going after evil individuals and we're, you know, reclaiming what was ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that. I saw that with Girl Dinner. I'm seeing that with Hot Girl Murder Club. Olivia Blake's new book, Dreamland, is kind of giving that same energy. I know that has more fantasy elements, but I love this and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I just read an arc of a debut called Honey by Imani Thompson. It was giving very similar energy to that other debut book by Emma Zimmerman, Here Lie All the Boys Who Broke My Heart, which I know you've really loved, Emily.
Yes.
But it was kind of giving that where it was like a horror kind of like thriller, but also having elements of like romance and just college age fiction, which I think is a very interesting twist, but also still kind of that like revenge plot that I think is very interesting. And it was kind of crazy, that book. I read it really quickly, but it is a little bit more on the graphic side compared to Emma Zimmerman's book. Like there is very descriptive explanations of like how she is like killing these like horrible like men that are like on her like college campus.
Oh my God,
But
this is Hot Girl Murder Club.
I love a story like that. I just think it's so fascinating, and I think there are so many different directions that authors can go with that kind of plot.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel like a stale concept. Like I feel like it can be done differently every single time.
Y'all obviously know I love Ashley Winstead. I was listening to her on a podcast recently talk about the future saints, and she was like, you know, I was talking to one of my agents or whoever who kind of helps her out in that regard, and she was like, you know, I've done college settings so much and I was so kind of scared of getting out of that college setting. But this new book, Hot Girl Murder Club, I loved the Hollywood setting specifically. And I feel like we're seeing a lot of Hollywood glamour books right now as well, set in that kind of era. Hot Girl Murder Club comes out in July, but this is a book that has literally taken up all of my brain space. I am obsessed with this. I think if you're a lover of Girl Dinner by Olive Blake, this one, you got to put it on your list. Here's the thing about Hot Girl Murder Club. I saw this when she released the cover and I was like, oh my God, it's like these women in like beautiful backless, glamorous dresses with like knives in their hands, and I was eating it up. But the female rage, the Hollywood setting, and the sisterhood was so well done. There's a lot of important topics and really raw emotions, and her books are just so much more complex. Like you think, when you're getting into a thriller, some of them can be kind of like popcorn thriller. Her thrillers are always so much more complex than that. It feels like real life. And she just does such a great job at adding all of the elements in. You know what I mean? And I appreciated this book so much. I flew through it. I also loved the investigation through the FBI in this one. It was so well done. I loved the main character who's a pop star, and she kind of wrangles all the women together and they have a plan, and you know, they kind of take women who were done wrong by really wealthy and terrible male individuals. You know, she kind of helps them. I don't want to spoil too much, but really excited for this one.
No, you have me super excited to read Hot Girl Murder Club. I've said this on this podcast, I feel like 100 times at this point. I am not a big thriller girly, but I love books about Hollywood and celebrities. I just think it's such a fascinating thing, and I think authors can approach that topic as well in so many different ways, and I just love, it's just something I'm just interested in reading. I don't lose interest. Like there's no room for me to lose interest.
Totally.
And I'm very excited to pick that one up in July.
The group of women in this book are just inspiring because of how iconic and fierce they all are and how they protect each other and, you know, have each other's backs. And I just think that's so amazing. And I feel like we work with such like a beautiful group of women. And I just was like, oh my God, this is so relatable. Obviously we're not out here like killing people, but you know, but you know, we're all like there for each other and all the things. So I found that really sweet and genuine. And I love Ashley Winstead, but like you said previously, thrillers can be really hard for people because it can get really repetitive. Some thrillers can feel the same, and finding the right thriller that feels complex and has all the elements and the important topics and that delivers a more complex story is important.
My ears perked up when you said that there's a theme of sisterhood in the book. I love books that explore sisterhood, girlhood, the relationships among women. It's relatable, first of all.
For sure.
But it's also just, I think it's so interesting to like explore different ways to view like what sisterhood means, what womanhood means. Thriller is a very interesting space to kind of dive into that concept. And that's something that I'm not super familiar with. Most of the time when I'm reading about sisterhood and womanhood, it's in a literary or in a side plot in a romance book or something like that. So I think it's going to provide a new lens and something that I personally haven't seen before.
I love that you just said that because this really is like a thriller like no other, truly. So I love that you just touched on that because I agree. I'm the same way.
Speaking of girlhood, that's something that I really like to read about as well. I just think it's always a nice reminder sometimes that you're always surrounded by really powerful, strong women, even if you don't know them personally or you don't know them yet. So one of my anticipated reads is actually American Fantasy by Emma Straub. It's about a newly divorced woman who goes on this cruise that's themed around 90s boy bands, and she does it to like reconnect with herself and reconnect with her childhood. And she makes unexpected friends, and there's a lot of discovery, and I think it'll be really good. I haven't read it. I have the ARC, so I'm really excited about it, but I think that'll be one of the spring summer reads that I'm finding that girlhood theme, that sisterhood theme in, but also that rediscovery of self and looking at childhood self as well. And that's not something I usually pick up, so it'll be very different for me. So I'm kind of excited about it.
That sounds amazing. I'm like literally adding that as we speak. I'm so excited for that one. And I love the way Kara and Emily, you guys both describe books. I feel like I don't know. It scratches my brain in a way. Anytime you guys describe a book or tell me to read something, I'm like, like I gotta read it. So the way you just described that, like I'm so interested, and it has such a beautiful cover too. Like I was already kind of interested, wanted to see what it was about, but now that you've like laid it out, I need to read it.
There's something to be said too about anything nostalgic.
Yes.
And so while I was not quite old enough to be in the 90s boy band craze. I was in the boy band craze myself. So I think I'll be really excited to see if I relate to the character at all and find nostalgia in it, even though, and I'll say it, One Direction is not a 90s boy band, but I was a huge One Direction fan. And sometimes I can find nostalgia in other people's exploration of childhood, especially when I'm reading. Yeah. And I think it'll be a really fun experience. Summer's a great time to do that.
No, and I think that is something that's so great about books. You personally were not alive for the 90s boy band craze, but you're still able to like apply that experience to your own life. And so then you can still feel that nostalgia that the author's going for. And I think that's something that is just so special about books, is that there are ways for you to apply the character's experience to your own, whether it just through bits and pieces. Not all of it might be applicable to the One Direction craze, who knows, but you can still feel that nostalgia, finding yourself like in that time of your life like that.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I think it'll be a good read for sure.
I love that. And while you guys kind of have both brought up nostalgia, kind of going back into the past, self-discovery and all the things. And it got me kind of thinking. I read The Midnight Train by Matt Haig. If you guys have read The Midnight Library, which is an amazing book, this is kind of the second book, and it comes out in May. But I think lovers of The Midnight Library will really enjoy it. Essentially, our main character, Wilbur, gets a chance to kind of relive the moments that meant most to him and kind of see what person he really was. And that train kind of provides him the opportunity to be able to do that. And I thought it was really interesting to be able to kind of go back into his past and relive some of those moments with him and some of that nostalgia.
I think summer and spring in general feels very nostalgic for people. So it does make sense that all these books are pubbing in the spring and summer. Just because when you think about your childhood, or me personally, I guess I won't speak for you all, but when I think about my childhood, spring and summer is always a time that's really exciting, and it feels nostalgic no matter what because of spring break and summer vacation and playing outside and doing all those things. I don't know if the publishers are doing it on purpose or if the authors are doing it purposefully, but having all these books that are pubbing that have kind of that central theme of nostalgia or going to the past or looking at your childhood in a like reflective way, I think it makes a lot of sense for it to be spring and summer. So maybe that's another trend that we're noticing live on the pod.
No, for real.
Spring and summer.
But I love that these are topics. And, you know, I love that it's kind of in the spring and summer. That's when it's taking place, too. I'm so excited for everything coming out.
Spring and summer kind of lends itself to nostalgia for most people, not everybody. Spring and summer is kind of when things slow down a little bit. People have a little bit more time, like they're able to like go outside, take a moment to breathe. And so they have the time to be reflective and nostalgic. They have that extra brain space to think about the past, reflect on the past, and be like, ugh, I wish I could do something like XYZ again. That's something that plays a role in how I select my books for spring and summer. What is going to give that feeling? I want to feel the things in the spring and the summer.
Me too. I want all the good energy too. I want to feel happy. And like you said previously, reading your romances, like you want to feel happy and you want to feel good when you're reading them. And I think that's what I'm looking for with like a lot of the literary fiction I'm reading for the spring and summer, and a lot of the advanced readers copies, you know, I've grabbed or downloaded. You want to feel that nostalgic energy. And I don't know, it's like healing in a way.
A good recommendation that kind of lends itself to like the intersection of literary fiction, women's fiction, and like romance is Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Monaghan. It is currently my top pick of the year. We will come back to the pod at the end of the year and see if anything can top it. But Annabelle Monaghan has magic in her writing. I absolutely just love the way that she depicts the summer and like the relationships between her characters and just the setting and everything. So Dolly All the Time follows a single mother. I am not a mother. I am not a single mother. I cannot be farther from this character, but I still related to it so heavily and felt like this feeling of nostalgia for all of the things that she was encountering like during this like summer where she was back in her hometown for the first time during the summer. It was just so beautiful. And I think that is, again, kind of how an experience that's in a book might not be directly applicable to you, but still felt all the things. That book made me laugh. It made me cry. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect book.
Now I want to read it.
Me too. Sign me up immediately.
Kara texted me about this really late at night one night, and it was one of the books that Kara was talking about. She really was excited to read because she loves Annabelle Monaghan, and I was expecting to hear about it the next day at work like I normally do, but no, I got a text at night which for Kara, just for anyone listening, is a huge deal because she doesn't get on her phone at night very often.
Yes, and she goes to bed early.
Yeah.
I feel like you go to bed early, you wake up early.
Kara was like, this is my favorite read of the year so far.
That
And
is so
I don't really
special.
think anything's going to top it.
Oh.
And I was like, well, looks like I have some reading to do.
No, me
and
too.
I'm super excited to kind of dive into it.
Especially
Yeah.
because she's like one of your favorites. How special is that you read this beautiful and poetic story that one of your favorite authors has written, and you got to experience it early and feel all the feelings. Like, I just think that's so amazing.
No, it was so unreal for me. Like when I got accepted for that arc, I was like, this is huge. But then actually reading it, I have been putting it off. Literally had it as like what I was like reading, like in my little shortcut on my iPad so that I could just like click it and open it for like months now. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then when I did, I sat and read it in one setting, which is what I expected. But that book was just, I always think that Annabelle Monaghan cannot outdo her previous book. And then she always does. And it's always just so exciting. But no, that book was perfect. I literally started crying again when I was writing my review for it for NetGalley. Like I have been thinking about that book nonstop since I read it. So if there's any recommendation that I give in this podcast episode to read, pick up that one. It is so, so good.
And if you're looking to be nostalgic in a different way, thinking circa 2014, 2015, Veronica Roth, which I know we've talked about on the pod, but her new dystopian fantasy is coming out in May, Seek the Traitor's Son. And this is her returning, and I think this is her words from our previous event, returning to her dystopian roots. And what is more nostalgic for a high school reader at the time than reading a dystopian written by Veronica Roth herself?
I'm so excited. I read Divergent for the first time in like the summer between like 5th and 6th grade. I want to save it till it's more spring and like it's like actually like sunny outside, because I think it will mimic that feeling again. I'm very excited. I'm so excited for that book.
I think it'll be really good. I have started reading it. I'm enjoying it so far. I think this one will be different than what we've seen Veronica Roth do in the past, because this one takes place in a dystopian world where there is a prophecy, but two women can fulfill that prophecy. And in the center of the prophecy is a man, which I was kind of surprised by, but it is not as things seem. Veronica has done a great job of making these characters very well-rounded, and they get themselves into some trouble. The world building's beautiful. Veronica Roth always does a great job world building. It is everything you expect from her and more. And I'm excited to finish it. I'm excited to continue my nostalgic read of it. And I think it'll be a really popular one for May.
And I just trust Veronica Roth. She knows what she's doing. She's been doing this for so long that I just know that that's going to be an absolute banger of a book.
I'm not the biggest fantasy sci-fi reader. I'm currently reading Project Hail Mary and I'm really enjoying it. But when I hear you guys talk about like world building and fantasy, it's so exciting to me. And especially because, you know, for me, I'm not like the biggest fantasy reader. I'd love to get more into it. But like when I think of the queen of fantasy, I think of Veronica Roth all day, every day. I mean, she is iconic with Divergent and then the movie. I mean, who doesn't love the movies, for real? So I was super pumped when you got that arc of Seek the Traitor's Son. It's a beautiful cover. And when we had her event with her, she seemed so amazing, and she seemed so in touch with her fans and so amazingly responsive on social media. And she seems like a total gem. So that's super awesome.
She's a beautiful writer, and the beautiful writing continues in Seek the Traitor's Son. It is just, the premise is very interesting. The characters are amazing. The writing's beautiful. You just can't go wrong. I think anyone who is wanting that nostalgic read, but also just a new epic fantasy, I think you should pick it up in May.
Yeah, there's actually a book that's like a mix of horror and fantasy that Kara and I both had on our list. Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. It comes out in April. And this sounds very exciting to me. It takes place in a haunted house in Japan, and like something is wrong with the house. They don't know what it is quite yet, but no animals will come near it. And a woman with a sword appears in the yard at night, like through the windows. I mean, sounds crazy.
I stumbled upon this book. I think I saw it. I want to say I saw it on Bookstagram. Like, I think I saw somebody like post like an ARC review of it. I want to say that's what happened, but I could be lying. But I saw the cover and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that book?
Right.
And then I looked at the description. I said, oh my gosh, what is that book?
No, for real. Like, I don't know what we're signing ourselves up for. It's actually going to be my read after I read Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. So that'll be a fun one to kind of dive in. I plan to take that one on vacation with me, but I'm unsure kind of what the fantasy elements are going to be. I can kind of guess kind of what the horror vibe is going to be like, but especially because it's taken place at the main character's father's new home in Japan. That sounds so interesting to me, and I haven't read any books that have really taken place in Japan. So I'm super excited.
I'm really excited for that one. And which is very surprising. I really like horror as a genre, which is kind of shocking because I don't really like thriller. And I feel like there's a lot, like, I feel like they often get grouped together, even though they are different. I feel like it's always like thriller / horror. Right. That's kind of just like the vibe. But I love horror, and I'm so excited to get my hands on that one.
Me too. And I'm so pumped for horror. There was another one actually, Carol, on your list that I want to talk about because you read We Used to Live Here. Is that right? What is that title? Okay.
Yeah. We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver.
He's got another one coming out called The Caretaker that looks super cool.
Yes.
Like, I really want to get my hands on that. And I saw you had marked that as like wanting to read it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's that guy who wrote that. And I'm pretty sure Netflix picked up his first book, though, We All Used to Live Here. I find that so interesting.
Yes. Have you read We Used to Live Here?
No, which is unbelievable for me because I love horror. Like, what am I doing?
That book was freaky. I thought, like, I think it was Lindsay on the Golden Feather episode of the podcast. We were talking about that book. That book is like kind of spooky. It's this couple that just bought a house. They're settling in, and then this family shows up on their doorstep and is like, hey, the husband is like, hey, I grew up in this house. Like, can we come inside? I want to show my kids where I grew up. Hey, what?
That's crazy.
And then just like weird things, just like spooky things just keep happening throughout the book. And I loved it. I loved that book. I thought it was so interesting, and it kind of has that mixed media format where there are newspaper clippings, like Reddit, like threads, like throughout the book, just kind of explaining like the lore and like what the like scary thing is in the book. And I just thought it was so cool. So then when I saw that Marcus Cleaver had another horror book coming out this year, I was so excited. I have the physical arc of this book actually at home, but I haven't started it yet. But it also sounds spooky. I don't trust this man.
Right? I know. Well, I read about it. She had like, the main character had kind of signed up for a job through Craigslist, and she goes there, and the job is not what it seems. And these people aren't who they seem either. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this sounds freaky for sure.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for it because my fear with like horror and like thriller, like I've said, is just like getting bored, that it's like, there's always like that timing where it's like kind of a little bit slow paced.
That's super valid.
The Caretaker takes place over 3 days. Like the whole book is 3 days. So I'm like, I know that this is going to be fast paced. So I trust it. I'm very excited to get into that one. It's probably going to be one of my next reads in the coming weeks for sure.
I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. I downloaded it and I was like, oh my gosh. But I'm super excited because I saw that author's name and I was like, wait, I know that from Kara somehow, some way. Kara's always got me clocked in. Yeah.
The thing is, when I like a book, I will tell anyone who will listen to me about it. So.
Which I so appreciate because like Emily specifically, I think you were the first one to come to me about Girl Dinner. You were like, hey, listen, like you have to read this. And then Kara was like, oh yeah, the fact, like, how have you not read this book yet?
Well, I only read Girl Dinner because Kara had read it first.
Trust. I'm obsessed with that. And like, you know, I've got my plan TBR. So trust that was on there immediately.
Do you want to delve into that more? You were talking kind of about how you're reading Project Hail Mary, then you're going to read Carly Fortune, and then you were going to you have it all schemed out.
You guys.
How's that going for you?
I'm planned until early July right now. The way Kara's looking at me right now. No, it's actually insane. So I plan, I don't know, for the people who don't know this, I set up all the books I want to read each month and sort them out by arcs and seasonal books. I do not read winter books in the summer or spring. I do not read summer books in the winter. That is not how I roll. It feels illegal to me. This is just something crazy I do. I also set up each book I read by week too. Like I plan it out by the days I will be reading it and hope to finish it by. Like I said, all the summer books belong in May through early August. And then I won't really read a lot of campy horror until about the fall time is around when I pick that up. I plan everything I'm going to read. Now, every now and then, like Emily or Kara or Kate will give me a really great recommendation. I'm like, okay, I'm putting this in. One of the books is getting knocked off the plan TBR. But typically I'm pretty good about like following it. But I also get really great recommendations from just like the book community overall and people who shop in the store. Every now and then I'll get thrown for a loop and I'm like, I gotta take one of my books off. Which one is it gonna be? But I so wish I could be a mood reader. And I want to be able to read multiple books at the same time. Like Emily is so great about listening to cool audiobooks. And I wish so badly I could read audiobooks and understand them. I'm doing an immersive read right now with Project Hail Mary and I'm enjoying it. And I think it's because I'm following along. I can understand, but I envy people who can read multiple books at the same time and be a mood reader. I think it's like the only thing in my life that I can control is that plan TBR. So I'm very strict on it.
I think it's interesting that you say that because I feel like I wish I could plan my TBR more.
I was just thinking that.
Because I'm
Really?
such a mood reader. I feel like I'm more susceptible to get into reading slumps really easily because I can read a fantastic book and then it consumes my every waking thought for weeks. And then no other book can get me out of the slump. And I just feel like having a plan and deadlines, I don't think it would take the fun out of reading necessarily. I think it would help me be like, no, it's time to move on.
Right.
It's time to move on.
Yes. And like you said with the reading slump, I feel like if I read, I was noticing I was reading a lot of the same genre for a little bit. And I read everything between literary fiction, nonfiction, romance, all the things. But like I really try to read a different genre every time I finish a book. So like if I read, romance, I need to read horror next. And then after that, I need to read, like lit fic. So that has helped me get out of reading slumps. Now, do they still happen? 100%. Because coming off of a fantastic book like the Hot Girl Murder Club, it's hard to really dive deep into, something else when it's taking every bit of your thoughts. And
if I could plan my TBR, I think it would solve a lot of problems for me because I am a mood reader, but I also don't know what I'm going to read next, like ever. Like I never really have like, this is directly what I'm going to read next. And so then I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to read next when I could just be like reading the next book.
Don't worry, I'll set y'all each up with your own plan TBRs.
Like, it's really a struggle for me because I think I just have so many books that I want to read, like living in my brain.
It's so
hard.
And
so then when it's time for me to pick my next read, I'm like, well, I could read this or I could read this, but I could also read this. And so I really struggle with it. And so I will go through phases where I'm reading a lot of like the same genre of books back to back to back, which there's nothing wrong with doing, but I can find myself in those. It's not really a rut because it's not really a negative thing. I'm just like stuck in that loop of that same genre until something pulls me out of it. And I never really know what that's going to be.
But I kind of love that you guys are mood readers. I think that's amazing because I feel like it makes you guys almost pick up a book you wouldn't have typically picked up. And with the plan TBR, sometimes I can get so focused on like, okay, this is what I am reading. And I feel like I can't like go outside of that sometimes. So I think it's amazing. You guys probably read things that you wouldn't sometimes typically pick up or get a recommendation from someone. And I think that's an amazing thing, honestly. And it definitely provides you a more exciting and sporadic reading experience. Like, oh, I get to read this new book and that's so fun. But sometimes it can kind of, the plan TBR can take the fun out of it because I'm like, I know what I'm reading next, So I think it's fun that people can just walk into a bookstore and be like, this is my new book and I'm picking it up and I got a recommendation from a bookseller. I think that's really special and I'm just kind of like planned to the core, unfortunately.
So what I'm hearing is that there is probably a happy medium between the two.
Yeah.
There's probably a happy medium between spiraling because I can't pick my next book, like Kara was saying, and planning the TBR to the point where it takes the fun out of reading. And if any of you out there have recommendations for a happy in between, how about you just let us know?
Please,
comment down below. Let us know. Help some girls out because it is. And I will say that what Kara was talking about is probably the hardest part of reading to me is trying to pick my next book because I don't know what I'm in the mood for and probably to like 10-15% of the way into the book. And then I'm like, I don't want to DNF this book because it's not the wrong book and it's not the book's fault. It's the right book at the wrong time.
You're like, it's me. I'm the problem. And I feel that way sometimes too. Like I plan a book and I'm like, I'm not necessarily in the mood for this right now, but I have to read it because that's what the plan is.
See, and I would really struggle with that because I'm not above DNFing a book. I will like if it's like a temporary one. Like if I am not feeling a book in that moment, I'm okay with like being like I need to step away from this right now. But I run into that kind of a lot because I don't know what I want to read next until I'm already in it. My husband and I have kind of like developed this game for like figuring out my next reads, where I will be like stuck between like 5 or 6 books, and I'll read him the first sentence of all of them, and then he'll just tell me which sentence is most interesting, and then that's the book I'm going to read. And sometimes it works, and sometimes I end up reading something that I'm like, I don't want to read this right now, and then I'll have to come back to it, and that's okay. But I think that's also, there needs to be a happy medium with that, with knowing when to like stick it out with a book, because then I know I'm missing out on some books that I would really like just because the first 10% didn't instantly hook me. I am not very patient in that way.
And it doesn't have to be forever. Like Kara said, it can be temporary. You can come back to it. But I think I recently did this with a book where it took me 2 or 3 weeks to get to 40%. And I was like, oh, I'm already 40%. I should just finish it. But it's really not fair to that book, because I was not enjoying it to the point where I didn't even want to read at all. And then I just spent a whole week not reading because I was like, no, I'm finishing this book. But then I just wasn't reading at all. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the book. Right, it was just my mood. Like, I just wasn't in the mood for it. Mm-hmm. And I know I'll come back to that book. I love that author. And I will read it and it'll be amazing. And I already know that. So I just need to find the right time to read it.
Yeah. It's almost like if you were to stop like a TV show, you know, because you weren't feeling it. I mean, we all do that, you know, like that's no big deal.
Like DNFing a book never has to be permanent. You can always go back, right book,
always
wrong
go
time.
back.
It happens all the time.
So I do feel like we can't move on from anticipated reads quite yet, because we haven't talked about what I feel like most people think about when they think spring and summer reads, which is romance. And so do y'all want to give your recs or anticipated reads for romance this spring and summer?
Heartstopper Volume 6 is coming out in July.
My whole life.
I am a huge fan of Heartstopper. And so just this week when we are filming this, they did the cover reveal for Volume 6 on Instagram, and it's beautiful. It's so cute. And I'm devastated, but so excited at the same time that it's going to be the final volume. Alice Oseman put something so special and so healing for me in those books. I really wish they would have been out when I was younger, but I'm still loving them now. It's that nostalgia. But those graphic novels are just so beautiful. If you have not read them, I think almost anybody could find something that they love about those graphic novels. They're just so good. I'm so excited for Volume 6.
I love Alice Oseman. This is also on my anticipated reads list for spring and summer. Heartstoppers Volume 6, I think, will devastate me in the best way possible. I love every single character and every single emotion I've ever experienced reading this series. I am not a graphic novel reader. That is not something I have dabbled in even in the past. And I picked up these on a whim at the shop before I worked here full time and devoured them. Had Tiffany order them. I think it was order the last 2, which would have been Volume 3 and 4 at the time, and devoured those. I've watched the TV show. I'm anticipating the movie. I've read other Alice Oseman books because of Heartstoppers, and her other books are phenomenal and beautiful and breathtaking. I agree with Kara. I wish so badly that Alice Oseman would have been releasing any of the literature that she's releasing right now when I was in probably middle school, early high school age. I feel like they are so relevant and authentic to a queer experience at that age. And I feel like they're so important. And they're so sweet and cute and charming. I'm so excited for Volume 6. I will probably cry.
Oh, probably doesn't exist over here. I will be crying.
I think it'll be amazing and lovely. And Alice Oseman seems like a gem of a person. Yeah. I love following all the stuff that she does on social media. I'm very excited. I agree.
How cool. Because like typically you kind of said like you wouldn't have grabbed a graphic novel typically, but I think that's so special that you grabbed this and it was such a beautiful experience, and especially for 2 young like queer children to be kind of experiencing that and finding themselves. And I think that's so important to, show those, especially in like TV shows and stuff. I think that's so important. And I love that. And I'd love to watch the TV show. You guys have kind of put me on ever since I've seen you guys. I hadn't really heard much about it, which is crazy because I feel like it's so popular, but I hadn't seen much. And now that you guys have kind of put me on, I'm so excited to like watch the show and dive into the graphic novels, because that's not something I would typically pick up either, is a graphic novel. So I think that's so special that you also did that at the bookshop. Like, just, I love that.
Yes. And just a side note, the show is really good too. So if you're wanting to watch the show but you're like, oh, I should read the books first, the books go really quick, and it is worth it, and the show is worth the watch as well. It's so good.
Emma, do you have any romance recs?
Yeah, I have a couple. So 2 that I'm excited about that are coming out this spring and summer. One being Happy Ending by Chloe Lisa. That cover looks beautiful. It's giving all the happy place energy I need.
Yeah.
It's like that bright sunshine yellow cover. And I'm a kind of a sucker for any romance that's taken place in kind of like a beach setting or a tropical setting. Like I'm a total sucker for that. That's why I love Emily Henry. She just always has the best coastal heartwarming settings, and you know, it's kind of giving all the happy place Emily Henry energy I need, since she's not releasing a book this summer. Devastating, but it's fine. And just like the title got me too, like Happy Ending, like oh my gosh, sign me up. Like I love a happy ending. So, and I loved the cover, and I've loved her books before, and especially when she came with Sarah Adams the first time. She was so sweet and so kind, and the way she spoke was just so poetic about her books and about Sarah's books, and it just made me like love her as an author. Another book that's coming out in July that I'm really looking forward to is Extracurricular by Rachel Lynn Solomon. The female main character is a pop star, kind of going back to that Hollywood setting, which I think is super fun. And then the male main character is a professor. So it takes place at a university, kind of academic. I love that. And I heard there's forced proximity and age gap. So I'm excited to see, you know, what that book has in store.
Yeah, and it seems different from what Rachel Lynn Solomon has done in the past. And I think that'll be really exciting. But I think for me, I'm also excited for this book. And I think for me, it's the pop star going back to school aspect. So it's like a non-traditional student, which we get a lot of like academic books with Allie Hazelwood and all the college settings, academic affairs, things like that. We don't get a lot of non-traditional student. And I think that'll be really fun. It's someone going back to school instead of someone going straight to college. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah. I love someone who's rich or famous, like going back to like live a normal life. I think that is so fun and totally not relatable, but I think it is just so fun, and I'm very excited to see what Rachel Lynn Solomon does with it. I really loved What Happens in Amsterdam, I think is her the latest release that she had. That book was so cute. That book was, I loved it. I loved that book. So I'm very excited for Extracurricular.
I love, like you said, Kara, like just like a pop star going back to school. Like I think that's so different, and I haven't seen that in a lot of books. I feel like that's something you see in a lot of films and movies and stuff, but it's not something you typically see on the page. So I'm really excited to see what kind of characters are going to be and kind of what the university setting's going to look like. I think that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting twist on like the big city girl goes to like small town living, like kind of thing. But like it's that, but like flipped on its head a little bit. We've talked a lot about upcoming releases, but are there any spring and summer vibe, like just favorites that are already out?
This is my dream. I live for a summer book in general, going off of Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was so excited to talk about this when we made eye contact. I was like, yes, I already know. I loved the Riva family. I loved, once again, that Hollywood lifestyle, but it's old Hollywood. And I think that's why I loved that so much, and the party vibe and what it was like kind of back then. And you felt like you were there at the party with these famous singers and famous individuals. And I just loved the friendships and the bond between all the siblings. I thought it was so special.
Yes, I think that is something that is so special about Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author in general. Her books are so immersive in the writing style, in the way that she sets up scenery, the way that she sets up her characters, that like every single book that I read by her, I feel like I am there. I am in the room. Yes. I am at that party. I am there. And it is just something that's so special. And just like her books, to me, they do kind of scream summer.
That book literally made me want to pick up a surfboard and go out and surf. Like, I
get to it.
Like, girl, I don't know how to surf. I've never known how to surf, but it made me want to get out there, you know? And she's so talented. Oh my gosh. Her writing is so amazing. Emily, I need to hear yours right now.
Okay, so fun fact, I am a mood reader. I do not read based on the season. So
that's my queen.
I don't really have specific recs for spring and summer necessarily, because last spring and summer I was reading a lot of fantasy. I read the R.F. Kuang trilogy,
Some
Poppy
light
Wars.
reading for
Yeah,
the
some light
summertime.
reading for the summertime. I read all of those in the summer. I read Lila Sage's new book, Wild and Wrangled.
Oh, but that's fun. That's a fun summer
that's
read.
giving
I feel like
summer.
that's giving summer. Especially
Okay.
those covers. They're gorgeous.
Okay.
Like, no, period.
So
You're doing
I
the
do
thing.
think the Rebel Blue Ranch series would obviously be good in the summer. I have read one Emily Henry book in my entire life.
Yes,
and
and
it's
I know the
Funny Story.
one.
I think that's a fun one for the summer because it takes place in Michigan. They're on the lake. They talk about wine. They have a love story. Very classic spring summer vibes.
Going off of Emily Henry, I talk about her all the time too, so this is probably a repetitive thing. Happy Place by Emily Henry.
Her
Inject that book into my veins. I loved Happy Place. I feel like you're either a hardcore Happy Place or like book lovers girly. And I feel like I'm noticing that trend a lot on Bookstagram. People are saying you're either like a book lovers, people we meet on vacation girly, or you're like a Happy Place and Great Big Beautiful Life girly.
And where does beach read fall in this?
Right? I know. I'm like, hello? Right? I know. But classic Emily Henry. She is the queen of dialogue. Every single time she hits it on the nail. I love, love, love her work. And I love Funny Story too. Fire of her book.
I feel like Emily Henry does scream summer. And historically, there's been a new one like every spring for me to like carry into the summer. So I think this summer I'm definitely going to reread at least one of her books. I reread, Emma, you would have a heart attack about this.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
I reread People We Meet on Vacation in January.
Oh.
And that book is summer.
That book is summer. But listen, I can appreciate that. And I want that for my life badly. I want that.
It was really good.
The movie was great.
The movie was great. I liked the book more the second time around, which was really fun. That book kind of flies under the radar, like in her catalog of books. Like I feel like it kind of just is like, it's there. People have read it, but I feel like there's not as much like discourse like on Bookstagram and such about that book. But that book was really good. I really liked it the second time around. And I think even if you've watched the movie, whether you've read the book or not, I think it's worth picking the book up again because the movie is quite different from the book.
Oh, I agree.
But I still think it's worth the read. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved People We Meet on Vacation. I honestly haven't truly disliked a lot of her books. They've always been bangers for me. I love her and I loved the movie. Poppy and Alex are just an iconic couple. No, I loved the acting in that was extraordinary. And I loved that they had like a little clip. I don't know if you caught this, but like a clip of Emily Henry sitting
at the wedding.
At the wedding. Yes, I thought that was so special and she looked so beautiful. And that movie was just a true love letter to the book. And I think it wasn't crazy similar to the book, but I do think they did a good job protecting the book as well within the movie. And I thought that was really special. And I'm so beyond excited to see what more films and TV shows come out in the Emily Henry world. I could not be more excited for that.
All right. And then kind of to wrap things up, I just generally like what has you excited for this spring and summer? What are your reading habits? Is there anything coming up in like the bookish community, whether that's online or in person, that has you excited? What are you looking forward to this spring and summer?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. This is some of my favorite times, especially working at the bookshop because, you know, we have Indie Book Crawl that begins March 18th this year, and it's just always a spectacular time. It's so fun to meet new readers and chat about what everyone's currently reading. It's also fun to hear about what they loved about each store they go to when they give us the bookmark to stamp at Indie Book Crawl. For the individuals who don't know what Indie Book Crawl is, it's a essentially book crawl throughout, I would say, like the Indianapolis general area, right? Would you say so, Kara?
Yeah, it's like downtown and then it kind of goes like south and then I think it goes a little bit north too, like kind of like in that like Noblesville, like Westfield area as well.
And I feel like they've added a couple new shops this year to the crawl, which is super fun. So it's basically just a really great way for people to support independent bookstores, and they can go kind of all over Indy to visit their favorites. And a lot of people at the specific bookshops have like prizes and games, and you get to stamp your bookmark whenever you visit the bookshop. And I think that's so special, and it's just such a great way to meet readers, and it's just a really special time.
Yeah, I remember last year watching so many like people vlogging it on like TikTok and Instagram. And so we were able to see what routes they went on and the people that they met and the things that they bought. And I think that is just so fun because I am easily influenced.
Me too.
And I love a haul. I love watching that kind of content. And when it involves books, I feel like it's just even better.
I love that. And so many people were doing this thing called Daub of the Day. Have you guys heard of that?
Like the drink outfit book
during the book crawl. And I thought that was so fun because like they would leave Coffee House 5 or Maid of Madison, pull up with their drink. Cute outfits, by the way. Everyone is dressing so cute during the Indie book crawl. And the book they were currently reading or the book they had like bought that day. And I thought that was so fun. And I thought that was such a cute trend. I was like, oh my God, y'all are so cute. Or I saw a couple of videos where they were like, I'm wrapping up my indie book crawl experience. These were, you know, all the stores I went to. And it was basically just a plethora of the stores and images from them and like the friends they met and tagging them. And it's such a beautiful community.
It's a good time to visit the familiar favorite stores in the area you've been to like over and over again, but then to also discover some of the other hidden gems that you might not visit on your day-to-day route to the bookstore.
Yeah, I get to like dilly-dally around town. I think that's fun. And I want to touch on Independent Bookstore Day too. Mm-hmm. That's always like the last Saturday in April, and it's always fairly warm out, and that's always fun. Tiffany hired like an orchestra for Independent Bookstore Day last year. I was loving it. Everyone was vibing with it. And it's just new faces come to the bookshop, but also the regulars come to the bookshop. And we have balloons and like prizes and stickers. And it's just
there's
also
like exclusive merch.
Yeah,
like that.
Exclusive merch. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And like that is just such a fun Saturday, kind of touching on similar vibes of the indie book crawl because a lot of readers show up and show out for Independent Bookstore Day. And I think that's also another special day for sure.
There was one year that I went everywhere on Independent Bookstore Day, and just seeing like how everybody was celebrating it was just so fun. Like the energy in every single store that I went to was just so good, and just it's contagious. Like the energy, just like the good vibes. There was no way I was having a bad day that day. It was so good.
Those days always remind me why I love what I do and how lucky I am to be here, especially with you guys for sure. Like it's always such a great reminder. I already know that when I'm with y'all and in the shop, always.
And on that note, I think that's a good stopping point. Emma, thank you so much for being on the pod with us today. We are so glad that you are here. And we are so happy to be here for another episode. And we hope to have y'all with us next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.